Okay, so normally when the Oilers play, whether they win or lose, I move on to the next activity and I'm over it within 15 minutes. But for probably the last 60 hours, I have been angry, really angry. If you follow me on Twitter, you can probably tell. Confused, and even a little bit depressed. And the best way I can describe it is when I was, I think, 7 or 8 years old, my family went swimming, and afterwards we came out of the pool and my dad had a quarter in his hand because he'd use it to pay for the locker for us to put our clothes in while we swam. And he has this quarter and he says to me, "Hey Rye, you want to play a game?" And I was like, "Sure." And he says, "Okay, heads I win, tails you lose." Flips the coin, heads. Rye, best 2 out of 3? Sure, yeah. Flips the coin, tails. Man. Rye, best 3 out of 5? Yeah, one more time, come on. Flips, heads. Wait a minute. Heads I win, tails. And I realized the rules were set against me and I couldn't win. That is how it feels to be an Edmonton Oilers fan right now. And I hate being that fan. The one that whines and complains about the officiating. Because I am a firm believer that the referees are a part of the game. And good teams find a way to overcome that and win. But this situation is unique and it's also unprecedented because the video review process has only been around for 2 years. So this frustration with what's going on right now, I understand, and I always will, and I will respect this. Calls are missed in the game. Last night, Perry cross-checks McDavid right into the net, 2 feet in front of the referee. No call. Maroon high sticks Perry. This was farther away from the ref. Also a missed call, and the Oilers scored on that play. Those things happen. The game's fast. The refs miss things. What do you do? That's understandable. What's inexcusable is when you have the latest and greatest in video technology and you're able to play these videos repeatedly, and you can do it for as long as you want and look at as many angles as you want, and you still somehow get the calls wrong. And I am fully confident saying the calls were wrong because they're different from the calls that I've seen for the last 2 years. They don't line up with what they've done before. And there's a lot of theories about why these calls aren't going the Oilers' way. And there are a lot of people weighing in on this issue as well. People that don't even follow hockey are chiming in on what's going on. I mean, I had a Flames fan text me today and say how outraged he was at the way that the Oilers games are being called. He couldn't believe it. He's a Flames fan. And sure, maybe he dislikes the Ducks, but he was like, this is embarrassing. This is ridiculous. And sorry, the thing is, when you have that many people chiming in like that, that means something is wrong. And the video review process, the reason that I am so upset about this is there's 3 prevailing theories. One, and it's probably the silliest one out there, the league doesn't want the Oilers in the final. I mean, further to that, the league doesn't want a Canadian team in the final. That's just silliness to me. The second one is, well, the refs, they're idiots. they're incompetent. Well, that also doesn't make a lot of sense because these are the best officials that they can find to call the games. So that only leaves one remaining theory, and that is that the video review process has lost its integrity. You know, my dad said to me a few years ago, my dad's a smart guy. He said, you lose your wealth, you haven't lost anything. You lose your health, you've lost something. You lose your integrity, you've lost everything. And that is where the NHL's video review process is at right now. You can't trust the decisions they make as far as you can throw them. It's as simple as that. That's why everyone is so baffled about what's going on right now, because common sense seems to have just completely gone out the window. And I just want to break down the two most obvious ones, and that's Game 4, where Corey Perry bumps into Talbot and the goal is allowed to stand. Now, the reason this one's so frustrating is we've heard things since then about what the referee was saying and consulting with the War Room in Toronto that makes it look even worse than it did at the time. In saying that, well, what am I going to tell Perry? Because clearly that leads you to believe he had told him to stay out of the blue earlier. Well, he wasn't in the blue, he was in the white, right? So what am I going to tell him? Well, do you have to tell Corey Perry not to interfere with the goalie? Like, do you have to tell him that? Just because you didn't tell him that doesn't mean you can't disallow the goal and go over to the Ducks bench after and say, yeah, you bumped into his blocker. He couldn't make the save. It's no goal. It's that easy. And I don't know where the confusion is taking place, in that it's in the official's hands and he's too prideful to overturn the call, or he's only looking at what he saw and not the entire play in the review. I saw a really good article about that today. I don't know what it is, but it's broken. And him saying that the league coming out and saying they had to give Perry the benefit of a doubt? I'm sorry, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. You're giving Corey Perry the benefit of a doubt with his reputation? I don't think so. Maybe somebody like Joe Sakic, yeah, I'd give him the benefit of a doubt. Steve Yzerman, yeah, I'd give him the benefit of a doubt. Corey Perry, no. Ryan Kessler, let's give him the benefit of a doubt too. In the last game, and I mean this one, I didn't even really notice how egregious this was until the intermission, because I was just so shocked that the game was tied. Chris King came out today and said that he was tied up in the chaos and had no way of getting out. Okay, well, first of all, the reasoning was that Darnell Nurse initiated the contact, pushing Kessler into Talbot, so therefore it's not goalie interference. That's the letter of the law. That's the rule. Here's the thing. He pushed him into Talbot. Kessler laid in the crease for 4 seconds. And while he's in the crease for 4 seconds, you can see that he's tied up with Talbot's pad. Now, this is the really confusing and illogical part for me. The Ducks are down by a goal. They need to score. There's 20 seconds left on the clock. Well, how do you score goals? What do you need? Your stick. So it stands to reason you'd want your stick to be free so that you can shoot the puck in the net. So he's tied up with Talbot in the crease, and you're telling me, Chris King, that Kessler can't let go of the end of his stick and pull it to the right 6 inches and grab it again so he's able to swing at the puck? That's what you're telling me? You think anyone is buying that? And again, a guy of Kessler's reputation, who cheats, who is dirty, who embellishes? How do you believe that? How do you believe that? You even see Kessler in the crease. You should be watching him like a hawk. I mean, that, to me, is just asinine. How do you justify that? I don't understand how you justify that. And this came out today. I saw a lot of Ducks fans making this comment, and to me it's also silly. Well, the Oilers put themselves in that position, so it never would have happened otherwise. The game never would have been tied. Well, so what you're saying is, because the Oilers let in 2 goals and were only winning by 1, they deserved to have an illegal goal scored on them? Is that what you're saying? That makes no sense at all. And I mean, quite honestly, you got to give the Ducks some credit. The Oilers didn't put themselves in that position. This is a game where four Oilers defensemen got hurt. One of them left the game. The other three gutted it out. At the end of that game, I know they were up by 3, but you knew Anaheim was going to push. They pulled their goalie with 3.5 minutes left. You knew it was coming, and they came hard. First goal goes in off Draisaitl's back. It's a lousy bounce. Just like earlier in the game, Draisaitl scored on a lousy bounce for the Ducks. That happens. That's hockey. The next goal, they gain the zone, some nice passing plays. Traffic in front, it goes in. Okay, you gave up 2 goals. I didn't see the Oilers collapsing. I saw the Ducks coming on hard and the Oilers hanging on. The tired and hurting, road-weary Oilers hanging on. Give the Ducks a bit of credit. So, I mean, I don't even know I read it, a Sportsnet article today that was just clearly clickbait, comparing the Oilers' choke job last night to the Leafs choking in the 2013 playoffs. I mean, are the Leafs still trying to be the story of the playoffs? They've been out for like 2 weeks. It baffles me. And the other thing that really annoys me in all this, I saw a lot of people arguing about this on Twitter. Oilers fans and media and bloggers, everyone arguing about this. No, you can't blame the referees for your loss, but you can certainly blame them for drastically influencing the outcome of the game. I mean, momentum is huge. With how close these two teams are, momentum is enormous. In game number 4, when Getzlaf scored that goal, if that's disallowed, the Oilers win that game. No question. Anaheim built all of their momentum off that goal. I think the scoring chances were like 8-2 or 9-2 at that point in favor of the Oilers. That turned the whole game around. Yeah, the Oilers didn't respond well to it, but again, did they deserve to have an illegal goal scored on them? I don't think so. And I mean, fortunately, in the last game, that goal happened late. They came out hard in overtime. They didn't fold like a cheap tent. But I mean, I don't understand how in this situation where an incorrect call is made, and there's no excuse for it, how you can say, you have no right to complain. You have no right to vent your frustration. I mean, there's no excuse for them to get the wrong call. That's what's so brutal about it. That's not a break. That's somebody did something wrong and it changed the game. We have no problem saying, oh man, that hit turned the whole game around. That hit turned the series around. That save turned the game around. What about a botched call that's clearly a botched call and has an opportunity to be reviewed and is still screwed up? And I mean, this is not just exclusive to the Oilers. The officiating's been terrible throughout the playoffs. This year and every other year, it's just seemingly coming to a head in this series. And I mean, I guess the only silver lining out of all of this is that hopefully they fix this so it doesn't cost somebody the Stanley Cup. I mean, that's all you can hope for, really. And I do have to say one thing. I, at this point in time right now, am really proud to be an Oilers fan. The way that they have conducted themselves in spite of all this silliness, I have a lot of respect for them. Even Lucic going off after the game, he wasn't cutting loose. He said that these are good officials. He just doesn't understand why the wrong calls are being made. McClellan, he bit his tongue. Chiarelli bit his tongue. Talbot even kept himself under control. And McDavid. It's pretty easy to cheer for these guys. The Ducks, not so much. We'll see what happens tomorrow night.